Thanks for joining us again on Celebrating Act Two. Art Kirsch and I are with I'm saying the premier baby boomer, philosopher, observer of life, Bill Jordan.
Wow.
Bill,
Man,
you are a man of great acute sensibilities.
uh,
By the way,
we have another guest next time that will tell you differently.
yeah. So, by the way, Jordan, here's the thing. John and I grew up in the New York area, and there was always the Bronx. It was never the Brooklyn or the Manhattan. So the fact that you're okay, is a pretty big high praise from Coleman, who lived near
I'll say,
the
yeah,
Bronx.
the Bronx.
And then I digress. So, I've got to keep this a little bit short. We can't go for our normal 13 hours on a subject today because I've got to run over to Costco and replenish my water supplies. And I always have like 8 flats of water, of bottles, in the house because we're earthquake country. And about a week or two ago, there was a 7.0 or something in Northern California and I think an area called Humboldt. And we have some relatives up there who were without power, water, anything for about a week. And so our
Yeah,
big thing out here is earthquakes. They happen infrequently, and most of the time, most people are unaffected by it. But every so often, something really bad happens. But back east, we have fires out here, and that's something different. But back east, you seem to have every winter you lose power in snowstorms,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's gone. And you're out for a week or two. It seems to me that we wake up after a earthquake, and you're either in big trouble or not. Every year, you guys are in big. What do you guys do to prepare out there?
Well, it's not always power outages that will last for a couple of weeks. Now, that has happened. Hurricane Fran came through, gosh, was that 1990s? And there were people in the area that did have no power for 2, 3 weeks. And trees were down, homes were just torn apart. That was absolutely horrible. We had Hurricane Helene into the west that came up from the Gulf and the western part of the mountains. There are people still living in tents out there. So that is an extreme case of a survival thing of hard to plan for that and store up enough food for lasting you for that period of time. But around here, our home, we'll have, when you talk about snow, we don't really get snow, we get ice. We'll get ice that will snap power lines or snap branches that break
Yeah,
power lines.
yeah,
So we may be a day or two, maybe 3 without power. And I'm greatly remiss on this. I've never done it. We just find someplace that is warm is to get a generator. I really should have a generator.
yeah,
Uh, and,
Mm.
and fire that up and to be able to know how to do it safely and all that. You don't want it in your garage or any of that stuff. But as serious as those things are, because they're very dramatic, I take the preparation thing on a more normal day-to-day idea of, does your car have jumper cables or a battery
Mm.
pack? Does your car have um, a small tool kit, for example?
yeah,
Does it have, and in the winter, does it have like a little collapsible folding shovel?
Yeah.
I carry, does it have a first aid kit? Do you have tourniquets? And in the car, do you have the tourniquets where you can reach them? Because
wow,
if you get in an accident and whatever happens and the front of your car comes in and your legs are pinned and you're bleeding, you got to be able to reach that tourniquet.
yeah,
Doesn't do you any good in your trunk. So things like that, you've got to have pretty kind of handy. Do you have a flashlight? At least one flashlight. Um, I do all this stuff. I normally would carry for years a folding knife or a pocket knife, just a blade.
yeah,
And I watched a guy on YouTube talking about, they asked him what he carried. EDC is what it's called, everyday carry. And he said, I carry a multi tool. He carries a
Mm.
Leatherman multi tool, and it's not that much bigger than my knife. So it's got a knife on it. It's
yeah,
got wire cutters, pliers,
It could break the
screwdriver,
window. It could break the window in case you go underwater,
break
so you
a
can get out of your car.
yeah, yeah, it can
Yeah.
break your window. I've got a little thing that clips onto my seat belt made by CRKT, Columbia River Knife and Tool. It opens up. It's got a little stud on it for breaking window. It's got a little flashlight, and it's got a razor blade that you could cut yourself out of your seatbelt with.
Wow.
Now, maybe
That's good.
I got those at a show in Charlotte a number of years ago, and I just have kept it. My wife's got one in her car. I've got one in mine. So
Yeah.
it sounds like I'm being extreme, but you only need it once. Do you have a fire extinguisher in your kitchen?
Yeah.
Mm,
Good
I
point.
don't.
You know,
Yeah.
this is, I mean, if you get a fire, you could, on a grease, a pot or something, you got some oil going and it catches fire, you could call the fire department. By the time they get there, you could be in deep trouble, or
Yeah.
you do your best, put that thing out as soon as you can. It's not a bad idea to have one in your car. So it sounds to some people like a paranoia, but it's not taking anything away from you to have jumper cables in your car or a battery pack in your car.
Right.
It's not inconveniencing you.
Or first aid kit. Or first aid
What?
kit. I have a box that has all those things in it. Of course, it's in the back, so if I had to get to it. But I've used it from time to time when a kid gets a cut or something like that. And John, what do you do to prepare? You're in a more rural area than I am.
Well, we do have a few things, as you say, water and things like that, but really we're not prepared for anything, to be real honest. We do have, there's a neighborhood phone app, where all the neighbors, and my daughter is kind of in charge of that, and all the neighbors talk. And in that regard, we're connected in a case of an emergency. We're kind of in a hilly area, so we could get floods and mudslides. And the biggest problem, I think, although we haven't, God help us, we haven't had it, is a fire. Everybody's worried about fire, as opposed to earthquakes. Don't know why people around here are not worried about earthquakes. It's California, but fire seems to be more. And so the neighbors are all connected, which is a really good thing because, in a disaster, one house can go slide down the hill and the next house can be fine. And you never know. And the question comes, who lived there? Did they have kids? Did they have pets?
Right.
So I think that neighborhood app is really important, but no, we're not prepared like we should be. Basic jumper cables in the car, stuff like that, but not all the logical stuff that follows: a flashlight, road flares.
Well, we've talked about a lot of things about kids now. Kids nowadays, I do think that an important skill that your kids need to have is knowing how to change a tire. They may be in an area that, that AAA is going to be, 3 hours away from. They can change a tire in under an hour. My dad taught me, a vivid memory of mine. My dad taught me to change a tire. We had a long curved road on our lot, and he had me change the left rear tire. Now I was out kind of in traffic, but it would be the lightest because the engine in the front, so the left, and I wasn't jammed up against the curb trying to get it done. So I was out and I was changing the tire, and it was with the old jack that you actually had to stick the kind of the crowbar in,
Yeah.
all the way down.
Yes.
And if you let go too soon, that thing would come up and split your head open.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, he taught me how to change that tire. We did it twice so that I really knew how to do it. Make sure the lug nuts were on tight, got them off, put them on, lifted the tire and all this. My dad went to work the next morning. When I got up, that back left tire was flat on my mom's car.
Wow.
And now I don't think.
Wait, did you think that was a coincidence?
No. And I don't remember. I don't think I ever asked my dad about that, or maybe I never gave it thought until later down the road. But I think before he went to work, he flattened that tire.
Yeah.
Just to, okay, he taught me. Now I've got to do it. No supervision. And I got it done. And I whether that is true or not, otherwise it's a heck of a coincidence. But I think that was a heck of a way to teach me and give me the confidence of knowing what I am doing.
Sure.
But yeah, just simple things of changing a tire. I mean, my wife was going to road to the airport. I was driving to the airport number of years ago. We had a blowout on 540 here going to the airport. And I thought, man, by the time I get AAA out here,
Oh yeah.
he's going to miss the flight. It's like out to Montana. It's like, how often does that happen? And I got out, changed the tire, got her there in time.
I have a
Came back.
question for you, Bill. I have a
Fire.
question for you. Do you even know where your spare tire is in your car? It used to be open up the trunk, and there it was. You could see the puppy, okay? And the jack was part of the thing that held it into the
Yeah.
wheel well that it was stuck in. Now, I think in my SUV, if I have to lift up a lid and then pull something up and then release something so that a donut tire falls from the bottom of the car to the ground, then I got to drag it out. I've never changed the tire. That's why I have AAA, and I hope that I'm in range of GPS.
I've got AAA too, but there are times I think when you may need to know
Sure.
how to do it. Yeah, and the bigger tires, the SUV stuff, that's kind of crazy. But then I also feel, this is kind of sad, I feel sorry for the people who changed their tire and they got that baby little utility tire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they got the
Little donut.
they got the 3 adult tires, and they get that little baby tire that they can only go 45 miles an hour on. And but they do that to save space. And when you ask why something, it's money. So they just make a little smaller tire, got more room for storage or whatever in the car
Yeah.
itself. They have improved the jack immensely over the years. It's not as dangerous as it used to be.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
an
the important thing is that you got to be prepared for the unexpected.
Yep. And then you can go crazy thinking what is unexpected. So, I mean, I think there's some basic stuff. I do think it's a good idea for again, jumper cables or a battery pack. And I'm thinking
Yeah.
more and more battery pack than jumper cables in case your car dies and there's nobody else around to jump your car.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So,
I know a lot of people, including my brother-in-law, who lives in a pretty good area where they've had power outages like we have, but never for more than a day or so. And we were all getting together for a family conclave, which we do once a year. And we're just talking about things that are new. And I saw something around the side of the house. I said, by the way, what's that? He got a Generac. And so, like, if his power goes out, it just automatically kicks in and goes. I guess I have gas in the house as well, so they're using natural gas for that. So they don't have to worry about propane or anything like that. So and he does it just for the comfort of knowing that should he lose power, he's getting too old to go out and get a generator and do stuff. He doesn't want to do that, so he put that in, and they cost about. The one he got, it cost about 12 grand, so it's not inexpensive. But he says it's worth it. He said it was worth it for the reassurance that they won't be without power for weeks on end, because lots of people are, especially where you guys are. I remember, didn't Northwest, was it North Carolina, Asheville, something? I mean, they lost their roads and everything. So there's something you just can't prepare for.
demolished. Absolutely
Yeah.
demolished.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, the Boy Scouts for years have been onto something. Be prepared.
Be prepared.
Give it some thought. Make some contingency plans. It's not a bad thing.
Amen. And I think all baby boomers should be prepared for the second half of their life. Enjoy.
That's it, man.
What do you say, Bill? Forget your age
Live your life, forget your age, and embrace the boom.
and embrace the boom.
For more on Celebrating Act Two, visit our webpage, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and tell your friends. Celebrating Act Two is the user manual for the second half of your life.